Hi, everybody. We're live again this Friday. So today I'm going to go over quite a few things, actually. There's some nice prints that I want to talk about, different techniques that we're going to go through, as well as simply go back and talk about the fundamentals of print on demand and how Printeez is actually solving some issues that we see in the market. We're trying to make this as simple as possible. So I think we're getting a lot of requests since the launch of the app, and a lot of people are asking questions that really don't relate to the way that we do print on demand, in the sense that it's not as complicated as the questions that we're getting. So I really want to go and iterate the basis of print on demand. It's a simple feature that we build, and we have to take a step back and understand what is Printeez's goal in this, right? So what was the business founded on, and how are we going to move forward? So the basis of print on demand is simply an order comes into our application, whether it's by a store that's connected or simply a user, a reseller, or somebody who just wants to order t-shirts, can use the application and go in, create a product, and process an order manually, right? So we then will produce that order on demand. So that means that we don't hold any stock for that product, or we don't need to create a bulk order. You could go in every single week, create a product, create one order, have that order shipped to you. It's completely white label solution. We don't show our name everywhere, anywhere. It's really made so that you want to produce apparel, you go on the app and you can process order there manually. A great benefit that we have is right now we have connections to Etsy and Shopify stores. So if you're a reseller or just simply a seller that sells online, you can actually connect your store. And then once you refresh your orders, it's going to refresh the orders from your store. So whether you're selling candles, t-shirts, hats, it really doesn't matter. All those orders are going to come into the app, and they're pretty much going to say, hey, here's my 10 orders, my first order that I sold on my website. Now it's going to give you the details that you would see on your Shopify store or on your Etsy order form. And it would say, what do you want us to produce for it? Do you want us to produce a t-shirt, a tank top, a front logo, a back logo? Really doesn't matter what you have on your Shopify store. You're going to dictate what you want us to produce. And obviously, if you would have candles because you're selling candles as well as a t-shirt that you sold, you would simply void the candle because we don't produce that, right? So I always say, and I always go back to the fact that the most important thing, if you want to do print on demand and you're a reseller and you're using Shopify or Etsy, is to go and study the catalog, the products that we offer, so you know exactly what you can create and what you can sell in your store. We don't want you to have to spend hundreds of hours creating products to have to push them to your Shopify store and thinking that our app actually controls your store. It doesn't. Our app does not have anything to do about how you control your store. Your shipping prices, your product prices. I mean, to an extent, it's important to know what our costs are for shipping, for fulfillment products, for producing an item with a front and back print, because if you don't know the base costs for those products that we do charge, and you're going blindly creating products on your store and you say, hey, you know what? I'm going to create products. I'm going to sell them for $5. Well, if you come back and you're going to produce that order with us, you're obviously going to be losing money. So this is why I'm always going back and saying, hey guys, really go and study the catalog that we have and what we offer on our app, because now that's going to help you dictate exactly what you're going to sell in your store and be able to calculate your own margins. So our best sellers, our biggest sellers, what they do is they know exactly our product offering, our product catalog by heart, right? So they have maybe 5 to 6 products that they use. And what they do is that they go and create products in bulk on Shopify or on Etsy by using amazing tools such as Matrixify on Shopify to create bulk imports, creating hundreds of products daily with pretty much a lot of ease and automations. So there's a lot of tools out there that you can use to have access to these things, right? And obviously, there's no tools like that that can offer you to create products in bulk inside the app, which is why we didn't want to enable you to, not enable you, but we didn't want to put you into a corner and say, hey, you have to spend hundreds of hours creating all your products in the app. It really doesn't matter, right? You have your Shopify store, you have your Etsy store, and then we can connect to them, we can talk to them, but we don't dictate what you have on your front end or on your store, right? So it's that, I hope that answers a lot of your question that you're having as to, well, if I'm changing something on my Shopify, or if I change something in the app, will that be reflected in the Shopify store or on my Etsy store? Not at all. Those are two things that you have to manage separately, right? You can, if you want, create a product in the app and then say add to store to my Shopify. Again, this only works for Shopify right now. If you're an Etsy seller, this does not work. You cannot create a product in the app and say, hey, push this to my Etsy store. It's only for Shopify. And I feel like that confuses a lot of people because it's, in a sense, it's a one-way streak of saying, hey, if I'm creating my product in the app, then it's always going to update my Shopify store. No, it's not true. It's just that if you're creating samples and you're creating them on the app and you want to order them there, well, you can go and say, hey, add this to my store because I created a sample and I really liked it. So that's the basis as to why we added that feature to be able to add products to my store. But it's not one rule all that you have to do that. We actually don't recommend doing that. We recommend that you create your products on your Shopify store, on your Etsy store, and try to sell, because the hardest thing is selling. And once you start selling products and and then you start getting orders, that's the fun part. I'd rather work and create my products because I've been paid for them, right? So if I go in and I say, hey, you know what? I'm going to create 500 products on my Shopify store and I'm going to go to sell. I don't know, maybe 5 of them, 2 of them, 10 of them, 100 of them are going to work and are going to be really popular and they're going to sell. But at least I didn't spend the hours and hours and hours creating 500 products in the app. That takes a lot more time than creating 500 products in Shopify. So I always have to go back and say, try to work smarter, not harder. It's not because you don't create your products in advance in the app that you're not working well or you're not doing the right thing. So this is the basis of the app and why we created this way. It's a platform to where people can simply order custom apparel and get them done on demand. There's no minimums. It's extremely fast because we have a lot of products here in stock. So yeah, I think that's a quick overview of the mentality that we have at Printeez and why we built the app this way, right? We come from a background of bulk orders. We come from a background of having online websites to where people can simply order custom apparel, and we wanted to make that better. This is why we created the app, right? So I hope that helps clarify what print on demand is with Printeez. You don't have to set up things beforehand. You can actually take benefit of the fact that when you sign up, you get free premium for 30 days. So if you're listening to this and you haven't signed up yet, you don't need to sign up yet. You can simply start selling. And when you get that first order, then register, connect your store, and create your first product. It's going to be done seriously within 5 to 7 minutes. You're going to have that first order imported, product created, and then submit to production. It's that easy. So if you want to take advantage of the free plan for 30 days, not the free plan, but the premium plan for 30 days, that's what I would do personally if I'm a beginner seller and I just want to get the ropes. Right now, you have access to the product catalog, you have access to the premium pricing, the standard pricing without having to register into an account. We're trying to make this easier for you guys to see if it makes sense and actually offer the design tool beforehand. So it's not available right now. If you do want to use the design tool, start creating products, you need to register. But yeah, that's part of the app and where we're going with this. So I just want to make sure it's as clear as possible. It's simple. There's no hundreds of hours of work that you need to put into the app to make sure that all your products are connected. We have many tools to help you connect products, sync products on the fly, create them really easily, have print presets. You can duplicate products. Like, there's a lot of feature that I don't even want to talk about right now because it feels overwhelming, and it's just tools to help you go faster. But yeah, the most important thing is that if you're questioning switching to Printeez on demand and you're not sure because maybe you're using another third-party POD app elsewhere in the world, don't be worried that you're going to have to spend the thousands of hours that you use to create your products on another app. You can simply connect your store, import orders, and create a product on the fly for those orders that are imported, right? So there's not really a ton of work that needs to get done. You can just do the work that you want us to do in Canada, and that's going to take you roughly 15, 20 minutes. You can submit bulk orders at the same time. So it's a really nice tool. It's a really easy tool. It's not overwhelming. This is why we created this way. And again, we love your feedback. So this is why we have a Facebook group. We like to be connected with our users because we feel like this is how we're going to make the best app in the world for print on demand. We want to push the boundaries of what print on demand is and how far we can take it, right? The goal is to be able to be worldwide and offer an amazing service to everybody. So did that do a quick turn of the intro of print on demand, what it is? I'm really trying to make this as simple as possible to understand, to remove a lot of the pressure that I think a lot of users are having when they first sign up. So That's the first thing I wanted to talk about. Now, what else? The effective business model, how to grow in sales, and how to expand print on demand opportunities along the way. Again, print on demand with Printeez can be extremely simple. You can have a store, not have a store. Maybe you're simply a reseller and you don't have a Shopify, you don't have an Etsy store. Well, you can do quotes with your customers and do, hey, I'm doing your designs, I'm redesigning your website. You want custom merch now? I have access to these amazing products. Here's the products that you could order. Here's the pricing that you can order them from. So again, you would go in, look at all the products, you would add your products, your designs on the products for your customers. It would give you a cost price, and then you can mark up those prices and offer that to your customers. So it's a great tool. You don't need to have a Shopify store and Etsy store to use the app. You can simply process bulk orders. I think that's a really nice tool that we added. And you know what? I think I'm going to go into the app and just share my screen and show you that we added a lot of the nice features. Window, I'm going to go here. Perfect. We're seeing my screen now. And if I go into orders here, you can see I have some orders imported. I can also go and create an order. If I go here, create order, I can add products. Now, obviously, it gives me the option to select any products I have in my decorated product list. If it's a new product or it's a product I don't have, I can go here and simply create a new product. I don't want to do that right now. I just want to show you that I can easily select the product, click on it, add it to my order, and it's going to become very easy for me to start adding quantities or simply maybe just one. I can also go, let this open, and I can go into my decorated products tab. I think we're going to rename this. It's going to be called My Products. So it's going to be less confusing. This is going to be My Products and this is going to be Catalog. The difference between the two is this is all the decorated products that you guys created and have in your store and your account. And this is all the products that we offer. So any blank products that we offer. So this is what I'm saying, get familiar with this, right? So going back to my decorated products, now I have my full list here. It's easy for me to search and navigate. So for example, I just want to search, let's say I'm a reseller and Luke is one of my customers, right? I would simply search Luke, have all the products for Luke under this naming convention, and I can easily add them to my cart. So what do you do is add to order, and I can go here and select quantities. I could say this. I can also at the same time click on pepper and add some here. And then I'm simply going to remove this thing and say add to cart. So you see I have 14 butter and then I have all of these pepper. I'm going to go add to cart. 39 items are actually added to the cart. And you can see here that this was grayed out for a few seconds. The only reason why is because it's taking the time it's loading them into the cart that is already pre-existing, right? So remember, I had actually added this first espresso shirt into the cart. If I go and click review, draft order, you can see that I have the 24 espresso shirts that I added earlier into my cart. And now I have the extra shirts, the 39 shirts that I just added. Very, very nice tool for you to be able to use if you want to submit bulk orders or simply create sample orders, right? You can go create as many products as you want in your account, go into the products tab, add samples into your draft order, and then simply produce that order. Create order, add a shipping information, and just be aware that every time you submit an order in this order form, you're not going to be notified when the order is going to be shipped or if it's ready to be picked up. Because again, we're a white label company, right? We're doing on demand. We don't want to say that it's coming from Printeez. So our app is not built for you to receive emails when you create an order here. It's made to notify your store so that you can notify your customers automatically. So if you want to have the tracking information for your order, obviously the order is now going to be in the ships tab. I don't have any right now, but this is where you would find the information. You would go into ships tab, you would click on your order. So if I just go back to this one, you would click on your order and you would have a tracking number here and you would click on it. It would give you the information as to who we use for a shipping company, shipping partner. So get really familiar with the orders page, get familiar with the create order form. It's really, really nice tools that we built. And again, if you have feedbacks, let us know. There's a lot more features that are coming for specific SLAs, being able to modify orders on the fly before they're fully into production. So we're working on this right now. It's a really intensive feature that we're working on, but we want to enable you and enable the users to be able to feel comfortable saying, hey, you know what? I made a mistake and I don't want 1 large, I actually want 6. Or you know what? I don't want 12 mediums. I want 5 mediums and I want 7 large or 8 large, whatever it is. We want to enable you to be able to do that on an order, unless the order has started printing, right? So until the order has been printed or there's anything in the order that's printed, you would be able to essentially modify the order or answer size requests, change requests from customers. So this is features that we're working on. And obviously that was feedback from you guys, from users using the app and requesting these. So I think that's some nice features that I want to talk to, and quick overview that you can really use this for print on demand, but you can also use this as a reseller to simply order custom apparel for your customers directly online. So basis of print on demand, I think I went over this. Now, being able to scale print on demand. Now that's a completely different ball game, and this is where the app becomes quite confusing and overwhelming because there's so many features that you can use to actually automate a lot of stuff to make it to where scaling print on demand over $5, $6, $7 million a year of sales is possible. We do have customers that do that yearly volume, and they're able to use it by simply being in the Bahamas with their feet in the sand and submitting orders bulk or automatically at the same time, right? So there's a lot of features in the app that we've built to be able to, one, cater to the person who just wants to order one shirt for their mom or their father's birthday, as well as the customer that has 100,000 orders a year processed through the app, right? So don't be worried about the feature that I show you thinking that, hey, I'm going to have to submit orders one at one manually. There's a lot of tools that we created to sync products in bulk, to be able to submit orders in bulk, have a lot of the processing done in advance, such as being able to set store rules into which order can import, which order cannot import, what products do I want to be produced by Printeez, what products I don't want to be produced by Printeez. But again, that's really high level. You don't need to worry about any of those. You can really just go into the app, create your account, create a product, connect your store, don't connect your store, and submit your first order. It's that simple. That's the basis of what you need to remember. Okay, now for the users that are quite new and are using the app, you're not sure what you want. Maybe it's DTG, maybe it's DTF. I actually have some prints here that I want to showcase. Jurgen from Print Factory was actually here all week trying to dial in our color profiles to make sure that we're able to match our DTG as close as possible to our DTF and vice versa, to make sure that if, for example, you're ordering t-shirts, you want to use DTG, and you're also ordering caps or you're ordering a vest and you want to have DTF, your colors can match, right? So I have these two shirts right here, and you can see that from this angle, you basically can't tell the difference. There is some difference. This one, the sheen on them is different. So the light is going to reflect differently on both of them, depending on what it is. Obviously, DTF is right here, and this sheen is pretty continuous across the board because it's going on top of the fibers, right? It's being applied on top of the fibers. So it's a lot less garment centric compared to DTG, where here you can actually feel and see the fibers. And we're going to look at these actually up close. I'm going to move my bottle here. So we're going to look at these actually up close. But first of all, great news. Now our colors are pretty much identical on both machines. So really, if you want to use DTG and DTF for an order, you may and you can. It's going to be very, very, very close. There might be a few like neon colors or really colors that are on the edges of the color spectrum that might be different. That's really interesting to see and now have and offer. So we're trying to match the closest thing to an sRGB screen. So if your screen is not calibrated and it's not calibrated to sRGB, you might see different results when you're ordering your products and you're receiving them. So make sure that your screen that you're using is calibrated. Obviously, any Apple computer, their screens are really, really good and they're very calibrated. So what you're uploading on your screen, if your brightness of the screen is maximum capacity, you're going to have really good colors and it's going to be fairly close. Those neon blues, those neon greens, those neon yellows, neon pink are extremely hard to hit whenever we're printing onto garments and substrates. Our DTG machine actually can hit those colors a tad better because there's neon pink and neon yellow in them. But It's very, very, very close. I think this is a great print that showcases this. So I actually have a second camera here that I'll be able to showcase these prints. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to switch cameras and show you the difference. Maybe Melly, you want to come and help me? So with the garments, I'm going to go and switch this to my camera. So we have the two shirts here. Maybe Melly, you want to hold the camera?
Absolutely.
And what I want to showcase and iterate, it's probably going to be hard to see, but if you look really close here at DTG, you can see that we have really, really nice fades. So anything that's translucent or is fading into your garment is going to be really nice with DTG because we're going direct to fabric. I can actually say how much white base I want under my colors to create a nice soft fade. And then you can see like the colors are extremely vibrant. It's soft. You can see the fibers of the garment. You can actually see them through the shirt. That we can also remove the black. So like here, it's actually the true shirt coming through. There's no black being printed. Same for DTG, DTF. We did the same thing, but you get the process of being able to see like fumes, edges that really fade into the garment. So really vibrant color, really nice, soft touch. And then if I look at DTF and I look at the edge especially, you can see that the edge is sharp, right? We do have like small halftones here that fade into the garment. But again, we're adding polymer powder. It's polymer glue, polymer powder behind the white ink, which is behind the colors. And we're adding that to the ink to make sure that we can adhere it to the garment. So we're melting that powder. Basically, it's creating a sandwich. We have ink, powder, and garment. And when we're heating that up, the powder is actually melting, which is allowing us to bond the ink to the fibers of the garment. So what that means is when you have edges here and I'm trying to get a fade, a really smooth fade, it's hard because see here you have halftones and I'm seeing white powder come across it. So it's giving me more of a harsh edge compared to what I have here with DTG, right? Which is really, really soft and subtle. So if I compare both of them and put them side by side, you can see that DTG is pretty much fading into the garment, whereas DTF has a really like sharp edge, right? So this one is just smooth. It's like it's even. So that's the biggest difference between DTG and DTF, especially if you're doing really nice images like this. I would go for DTG because it's first thing, it's really big. It's a masked image. So this pretty much blocks the fibers of the garment. It's going on top of it. So you can see the fibers we can see them somewhat because DTF is getting a lot better. It's a lot softer than what it was before. It's extremely stretchy as well, but I'm still blocking the fibers of the shirt. So if I'm sweating, you're going to see some sweat around the image versus being a part of the garment here where I'm actually going to sweat through the ink, right? So DTG, you can see the fibers of the garment. You can actually see it through the ink. Maybe I can show the reflection a bit better. But yeah, you can actually see the yarn of the garment, right? So depending on what you're looking for, this is the difference between both. Now, there's no decoration method that is better in terms of color gamut. You can clearly see that both color gamuts are really, really good. It's super nice. So if you're not sure as to which decoration method you should use for your artwork, obviously you can use the live chat on the app or on the website to ask us. You can send images. So, hey, what will you use for this image? Our team is going to be super happy to help you and answer those questions. We actually love doing that. It's one of the most fun things that we have and we can do. So I'll switch cameras and go back to me being here. Thanks, Melly. Appreciate it. So I think that's an important feature that I wanted to talk about and explain is really when would I use DTG? When would I use DTF? And if I have Melly, can you actually throw me my sweatshirt that you have right there? Great. Thank you. Okay. I think this is going to make a lot of sense to people. This right here, this Under Armour logo, this is DTF. Right? This is heat applied onto the garment. Extremely sharp. It doesn't matter what the fabric is of the garment. I want this logo to feel like it's an element. It's vibrant. It's standing on top of the fibers. The most important thing about my shirt is the logo in the sense that this is what stands out. It's corporate. It's very sharp edges. You can see that it's been applied onto the garment, right? So if you're a reseller and you're not doing this for fashion brand, or you're not doing this for funny t-shirts or anything like that, I would use DTF. Even if you're doing funny quotes onto a shirt and it's only white text or it's only black text, I think having DTF is great for that, because the edges of your print are going to be extremely sharp. It doesn't matter how tightly knit the yarn is, or how the way the woven of the shirt was made, or how open the garment is, to have a really sharp edge. It doesn't care. It doesn't matter. You're heat applying it on top. So if you want something that's really sharp because you have vector logos, so you have text, bold colors, or you're doing anything that's corporate for your customers, use DTF. That's when I would use it. Now, when would I use DTG? Well, images like this, or I'm a reseller that wants the most softest fashion prints, then I would go with DTG, because obviously you can even control if you want white base or no base with DTG. You can't do that with DTF. So if you're looking to have more of a retail finish and you're not going towards the sporty look, then go with DTG. I think that's your best bet. Yeah, I hope that is a good breakdown of what the difference between DTG and DTF. DTG is direct to garment. It's applied directly onto the fibers, whereas DTF is heat applied on top. So it blocks the fibers of the shirt, and it's really never going to change. It doesn't matter if you're going on polyester, t-shirt, a hoodie, it's always going to look identical because I'm heat applying it on top of the fibers, right? Whereas DTG is garment eccentric. This print might look different on a hoodie or on a different garment because the yarn, the way the yarn was made, is going to affect the print, right? I'm applying white ink and colors on a garment. So if my yarn is actually more open on a hoodie, for example, well, I might have a bit less vibrancy, or I might actually see more yarn and my print might feel like it's more part of the fibers. But yeah, again, that's for you to decide what you like. We offer both decoration methods because every decoration methods in the market have a place, and this is what we believe. And there's a good and a bad in every case scenario. In the sense, a bad, it's not bad. It's just there's a better option for specific artwork, right? So if you have anything that's corporate, very bold vector artwork, simple text onto your garment, DTF is a great solution. If you have anything that's very colorful, very design eccentric, and you want it to be a part of the garment, I would use DTG. So I hope, yeah, that does a nice rundown of that decoration method. Embroidery, we've had quite a lot of questions about embroidery, and fair to be asking questions about it, because embroidery is, one, very interesting. It's like, how do we decorate products with a needle and some thread, right? It seems so overwhelming because you have to have a digitizing file to tell you exactly where the stitch is going to be to create your artwork, and then how much detail can I have and on which garment. So we've had quite a lot of questions being asked on the live chat, and we love to have these questions, right? So if you're not sure, go to the live chat, ask your questions. It's really good to be able to answer those. And just to go over them, if you're going on anything that's thicker, so think about beanies, think about sweatshirts that have really thick fleece, right? Thick fleece garment. If you're trying to have really fine detail, that's going to be hard because they're actually going to try to sink into the fabric. So if you have bold letters, or you have a nice colorful artwork that's large details, large letters, that's going to look great on pretty much anything. If you have really small details, that's going to look better on on thinner fabric. So if you have a beanie, you want to go onto caps, not caps. Caps actually can have really small details because the cap surface is somewhat hard, right? So if you use a structured cap, you can have really small details. So an embroidered file onto a cap could go on a beanie, but maybe the result is going to look much better on a cap versus a beanie because you're losing the small definition of those letters that are sinking into the fabric of the beanie. So small thing to keep in mind. I think we're actually going to make a lot more videos explaining the difference between the two and when to use which, when not to use the other. Because again, embroidery, you can process an order from embroidery, love it, and then you're like, okay, I'm going to do this on beanies as well, and then the result's going to be completely different. It's not that the digitizing file was different. It's simply that the fabric, the way it's absorbing the embroidery, is going to give you a different result, right? So that's that. And then what else? I want to talk about Etsy. Etsy is super important. Again, we can communicate with Etsy. we cannot push anything to Etsy that's a product. We cannot ask Etsy to give us information saying, hey, what are the products that I'm offering on Etsy? Can I sync them to my store in the app? Not in my store, but can I sync them to my store in the app? You cannot do that. You have to refresh your orders come in, and then tell us what you want us to produce for those orders. That's the only way we can talk to Etsy right now. And then as soon as your order is produced and being shipped, then our website, our app is going to send that information to your store. So the tracking information is going to be sent to your customers via your Etsy account. Again, Etsy, it's more complicated. They actually added a lot of layers of protection or layers of complexity to where being able to communicate between the APIs is a lot more complex than what it was before. So I don't want you guys to think that, oh, I'm going to connect my Etsy store, I'm simply going to be able to push some products from the app to my Etsy store. It's a lot more complicated than Shopify. If you want to have a smoother experience and you want to sell products online, obviously Etsy has an amazing marketplace. There's tons and tons of people that go there every single day. So it's very interesting to offer your product there. But for the use of the app, Shopify is a lot easier than Etsy because we can communicate a lot better with Shopify. So I don't want to sound like our app is extremely easy to use with Etsy in the sense that you can communicate, push whatever you want over there. It's more a one-way conversation with Etsy right now that they're blocking a lot of information that we want to send over or we're asking for. So right now, the only information that we're able to have from Etsy is the order information and your customer's shipping address. That's it. And they're allowing us to only push when the order's completed with the tracking information. So if you keep that in mind, it answers a lot of questions that you might have in the sense of what can I do with the app? That's what you can do right now. So that answers that. Is there any questions you think, Melly, that you've had this week or you think the team had that maybe we should answer or go over? Did I miss any features?
You could potentially, for the sake of our new members, just explain how to place your designs on your product.
I love that.
Using potentially the presets.
Yes.
Or if not, how to go about that, maybe.
Thank you. So I'm going to share my screen and I'm going to go back. So screen, window. Now you can see here that I'm on create order form. I'm simply going to go back to the products and choose any decorated product that I have. I'm going to go and click here, edit. And I'm really going to do a small overview of the design tool. You have a lot of features, and the most important features that you want to focus on is the features right here on the right. So you have size and alignment. This is pretty much toggling on the box print area so you can at least see it. So when you're out of bound and outside the box, you can see it clearly. But if you simply want to see the mock-up, you can click on it. So nice little feature. You also have center. This centers your artwork center and vertically and horizontally into the image. This is going to use fill print area. It's going to maximize the image size that you have. So if I click on it, you can see clearly that it resizes the image as big as possible. If the image was more vertically, it would automatically add the dimension to the length and not the width. But my image obviously sits square. So the first thing that it hit was the width. Now, the other thing that we would have is, if I shrink this, you have align to left, you have align to center, align to right, align to top, align to center middle, and then align to bottom. So these are really important tools that I use to be able to efficiently add designs to my products and go about. Now, there's also some print presets that are the most used print presets that we have for our users. So we actually used the database that we had for the last year and a half of all of our users. And we said, okay, what's the most used prints that we've been printing for the last year and a half? And this was the 4 print settings that our users were uploading. So if you have a standard artwork that's roughly a 10.5 inches by 10.5 inches. This is the standard print placement that we suggest and what we recommend. Obviously, you can look at your designs and you can say, you know what, I want my text to start a bit higher because I have a Luke's helmet here that needs to be higher. So this is the recommended, for example, if it was a circle or a big image. So for this design right here, I would actually bring this up to 2 inches from the collar instead of 2.7 because I want my text to be at roughly 3.5, right? Now, this is the first print preset. I can also go and say left chest. So 3.5 by 3.7. I can also use large. So large is actually going to be a taller image, which is actually going to bring this up closer to my neckline. So you can see that this image is actually being placed 2 inches from the collar instead of 2.7. The reason why is simply because if you have a larger image on your shirt, on your garment, well, you want it to start a bit higher so it's not so low that when you're sitting down, your image is going to be folded up. So this print preset is really popular as well. Now, center chest, you would see this very often for more minimalist text, kind of like the Essential brand. We've seen this being done especially for embroidery or really small DTF prints on the chest. But again, this print preset is still offered for DTG, but I would use this most often for fashion brands or anything like that. You want to have a center chest artwork. You can see here that the actual dimension from the collar, which is Y. If you go back to like 5th grade at school in math, you remember your algebra and you have your x-axis and your y-axis. Your y-axis is anything that's vertical, x is anything that's horizontal, right? So I'm always referencing to y-axis for distance from my collar. So you can see here that my image is starting at 3 inches from my collar. So from here to the top head of Luke's helmet, it's 3 inches. So if you want to take a shirt, put it on the floor, use a ruler, you can easily reproduce that. Or if you have a small printer at home, you can actually print out this image using the dimensions here onto a sheet, cut it out, and place it on a garment using a ruler and measure it out. So the x-axis is simply the x from a zero point. So if I look at this platen, this print area, our positioning coordinates, the 0, 0 starting top left. So this is pretty much telling us that the edge of Luke, the behind Luke, is starting at 4.57 inches. So I don't really use this one very often. Again, I could use simple math because I know that this is 12 inches wide. So I can pretty much say that if my image is 10 inches wide, I could use X of 1 to know that my image is now going to be centered. But that's really simple math that I don't need to use and do because we have all these amazing tools here that I can say, hey, you know what? Maybe my image is 9.69. What's the difference between that? I can do rough math, or I can simply click here and be like, oh yeah, it's 1.16. That's just simpler. You can also go here and type in your numbers. You can see a place. You can manually place them. That's what I don't recommend doing, to be honest, because it's really a give and take. Again, any garment that you're designing is going to be different depending on the size that you're uploading, that you're printing on, right? So if I go here and, for example, I want to place this left chest, center of collar here is pretty much standard, which is 3.5 inches from the center. Um, you could do this and pretty much guesstimate. This would actually be somewhat of a good print placement, but I'd much prefer just use the coordinates that were written down and make sense to use, right? Again, you can place this manually if you'd like. I don't recommend, but make sure that it's not here at 0, 0. If it's here, it's going to be extremely close to the collar. The only distance you're going to have from the collar is pretty much basically the edge of the print palette that is being affected. So that's going to be maybe like 0.25 inches. That's very minimal. So if you're uploading your artwork just like this, I'm telling you, you're going to receive your artwork and it's going to be at the top of your neck, right? It's going to be very, very, very high. It doesn't look very good. I would always start at a minimum of 2 inches on any adult or lady shirt. If you're going onto youth t-shirt, toddlers, things like that, yeah, you can go up to like 1 inches or 0.75 inches because obviously that shirt is a lot smaller and you want it to be higher, right? And again, kids don't have breasts, they don't have chests like muscles, so it's a lot flatter. There's no curvature into the youth kids that are wearing apparel. So again, you're able to bring that design up and it doesn't feel like it's too high, right? Whereas for us, if we bring that up and it's kind of distorted because of we're all made different, our body type composition is all different, I suggest going 2 inches from the collar. It looks simply a lot better, and this is what you would normally see in all retail stores. So we're dropping this down to 2 inches would look much nicer. And if I had simple text, for example, maybe my design is something like, I don't know, maybe this one, right? then I could start this image at 2.7. I would use this print preset right here. And you know what? I'm going to use a different color so we can actually see the design and stay out of trouble because I've been not good. So yeah, nice little design. Really cool. I want to showcase this tool as well. Maybe you're like, oh, you know what? I don't want to use DTG for this print. I want to use DTF. And most people and the most native way of doing this is in our heads. We're like, we're simply going to click on DTF here. And I agree. It's like, why can't I just edit the front, right? I just want to switch this. Like, why am I block? It says DTG. It's just a nature that every print area is connected to a decoration method. So right now in the UI, if you want to remove and you made a mistake, you want to use DTF, simply go back to DTG, click on the decoration, like the print area that you had selected, simply remove it and go to DTF and now choose artwork and re-upload it. It's a small friction, and I know we're trying to fix it. It's just that we're having to calculate how we're going to do that in our database. Every print location is associated to a decoration method, which is what is making this pretty complex for us to simply say, hey, you know what? I made a mistake. Switch this to DTG. The print placement, the print area, the palette that is associated with this when we go to printing is completely different. It's completely different information and database behind. So again, if you want to switch from this to DTG, remove it, switch decoration method either here or simply using the drop down here, and then go about it, right? Same thing if you want to add an oversized front right now, I can't because I cannot add two designs on top of each other. So if you're like, oh, I made a mistake, I don't want to use front, I want to actually might have an image that's much wider, simply X out of this one, change your print location, and then re-upload it. Now that's going to allow you to use this and use the tools to make it as big as possible. So print preset for oversize, obviously there's only one. It's most popular. I want it really big, right? Why would you pay oversized print, which is more expensive, to have a left chest print? Doesn't make sense. So if you are looking for a left chest print and you're using oversize, don't do that. You're paying for the oversized print area. Simply go back to front and use the print presets there. So small tool, small improvement as to how you would use them. I hope this answers a lot of the question. Again, maybe I can actually, you know what? I'll go and do embroidery. I think that's fun. There's one artwork. So right now you can clearly see I only have one artwork for embroidery. The reason why is because it's filtering out all of the embroidery files, so you don't have to pay for a second digitizing fee for this artwork. So for example, if I wanted to re-upload this artwork onto a garment, I could simply click on it and it's going to keep the same dimensions for this image, saying, hey, you already have a digitizing file with this artwork. And if you want to simply re-upload it, you may. Again, if I switch this, now I'm going to pay for a digitizing file because I resize it. So we have to redigitize it. So if you want to make sure that you don't have to pay for a digitizing file twice, simply click on that uploaded file and simply replace it. And you should be fine. You're not going to be charged for a second digitizing fee unless it's going on a different type of garment. So if I created a digitizing file for a hat and now I want to add this to a hoodie, then it's completely the way we embroider caps versus we do embroider hoodie completely different. When we're embroidering caps, we're embroidering on a circular hoop. So we're starting from the middle top, and when we're embroidering from a shirt, we're actually going middle to edges to make sure that we're not distorting anything. So we have to create two digitizing file. This is why the pricing is being applied for each garment. But I don't want to use this. I want to use an artwork that has multiple colors to talk about this and show you that you may use artwork to have multiple colors and how it's going to separate those images. Let's use the T-Rex. I like this. I think it's kind of cute. Perfect. It's calculating all the thread colors inside that design. So it's pretty much vectorizing the image and it's telling me, okay, now you can only choose 6 colors out of all those colors to embroider your design. So what we like to use? Well, obviously green here. Maybe I want this to be green. So it's going to upload. And it's going to tell me that now it's using 5 colors still, so that's fine. And charcoal, I don't want that. I want forest green, and deep black is fine. Light beige, pure white, I think that's good too. And this one, you know what? I might use a second, like a third green. There's quite a lot of colors. You can see that we have 24 color thread options that come on in our machines. That looks kind of weird. I'd rather actually, you know what? Go back and use a light green. So you can choose to say, hey, you know what? Maybe my design had 20 colors inside of it. It's being reduced to 6 and I want to change them. So maybe even my light cream here, maybe I'm like, you know what? I'd rather have a really light color tan or like cream color. You test it out. It's going to wait. It's going to load. Yeah, I think that looks a lot cuter. Perfect. Okay, so I like my design now, and what I'm going to do is simply resize this. I want this to be 2 inches tall, and I want to place it so I can use left chest and simply resize like that, and then center it with my color. Yeah, that's pretty cool. And you know what? Maybe I want to shrink that down. That, to be honest, I don't know if you would get really nice details to have all those texts and things like that. So if you want to embroider it, you may try it. But if you have really intricate details, I probably wouldn't upload this artwork. The reason why is because I'm not going to get a lot of definition because the artwork is so small. So to make sure it comes out really nice, I'm probably going to bring this up to roughly 2.75 inches to make sure that I have a really nice defined text. And this is probably the most ideal size for this embroidery. But again, that's probably going to feel rough on the garment. So I might not choose that route and I might go instead with DTF and use the new Photoshop tool and say, hey, I'm going to fake embroider this file, print it with DTF, and he apply it onto the garment to get that embroidery look without having to have a massive patch on the garment, right? So I wanted to go over embroidery, show you that you can use up to 6 colors. This is automatically converting all the colors inside the image and using pretty much vectorizing your artwork and saying, hey, here's all the colors that you can have. Which one would you like to choose? So I'm going to do this and simply update. So now it's not Luke, I'm your barista. It's a T-Rex shirt, but the title has changed. I can see all the thread colors. I can download my artwork file so I can see what it's going to look like here. I have the converted version, and then I can also sync it to my Shopify, update it to my store. I can also see the fulfillment time. So you can see that I have an artwork set up because this is the first time I'm using it. So it's 1 extra day. This item is in stock, so it's 1 day, and then embroidery is 4 days. So it gives you all the information there directly on the page, as well as when you're going to order it, you're going to have that information there. So good overview. And then, yeah, do we have any other questions?
Yes, we have a question in the chat. So someone is asking if maybe there's a potential technical issue when it comes to digitizing fees, because apparently they've been using the same artwork and they were charged again. So maybe it has to do with what you were saying earlier when they're resizing the file.
Exactly.
If they're changing anything, then a new matrix will have to be created, and therefore the fees are going to be charged again. I'm assuming that if they're not touching the file at all and they're charged twice, then they should get in touch with us and we will figure it out based on a
So I just
case by case.
I just want to go over embroidery. The way it's done is there's auto digitizing features available in the market, but we've tried a lot of them, and the quality of the auto digitizing was not to our standard of what we wanted to produce and what we wanted to submit. So we have to manually digitize those files. This is why there was actually 1 extra day that you could see there on the lead time. And what this implies is the fact that we have to digitize that file and add it to your product. Within that time frame, that day, if you're trying to submit 20 orders that have embroidery on the front of the cap and we haven't digitized that file in the back end, it's always going to say, hey, it's charging that file, charging that $20 because there's no associated digitizing associated with that artwork. Even though it's the same artwork, if you're uploading it and reordering that product 20 times before we have time to digitize it, the system doesn't know. The system is saying, hey, you haven't digitized that file, so I have to charge you for it. So if you have a new embroidery file or an embroidery cap that you want to send up and have done, make sure that you're waiting for like that day or for that 24 hours until you submit the order for us to produce that digitizing file, add it to your product, and then you can reorder the same product or use the same artwork, add it to a different product, change the thread color, and then submit that order. You're going to see automatically that fee should not be applicable, should not apply. If it is still applying, then contact customer support, and it might simply be the fact that, hey, our digitizing is overloaded, and right now it took a day and a half instead of 24 hours to digitize the file. Yeah, the algorithm is made to where you can use the same same artwork, put it on different caps, change the thread colors. Really doesn't matter as long as you're not resizing that artwork. It's fine. So if you're being charged and you submitted a sample order, you submitted your first order and it's been more than 24 hours, contact support, write us on the live chat, and we'll look into it for you. We can also go into your account and add digitizing files. So if, for example, there is a mistake in the database, we can definitely use the digitizing file that you paid for and simply add it to that product, and then you'll be able to submit that order without having to pay any fees. And if for some reason you didn't realize you submitted the order, you can contact customer support and we'll be able to refund that digitizing fee as long as we do have a digitizing file in our system, in our account. So if you ask customer service after 15 minutes because you submitted 3 orders, well, customer service team are going to go and look into our database to make sure we have a digitizing file. And they're going to say, oh, I don't see any digitizing file. Unfortunately, I can't refund the order. So just be aware that don't process 20 orders with the same embroidery file if it's the first time you're submitting them. The team, when they're going to go and look to refund that order, they're not going to see any digitizing file under that artwork. They won't be able to refund that because they won't be able to add it to your design. I think that closes the loop on embroidery and how the system works right now. Obviously, there's more iteration as to what we need to do to make this more transparent and easier to use. But we need your feedback for that. So let us know what you would do, how you would use it, and always have to think about the fact that there's a human here in the back end that is actually digitizing the file, telling the machine where the the needle needs to go to make sure your artwork is stitched out on your garment properly. Yeah, quick overview about it. Again, simple. It's an app to where you can customize apparel and order online, right? If you have a store, amazing. Connect, and we can pretty much become your production facility. That's the basis of it. Don't think too hard. Don't go overwhelming yourself thinking that we control what you do on your Shopify. You have full access to whatever you want to do in your store. We don't own it. It's yours, right? So you run your business the way you want to. You set up your shipping rules. You set up your return label rules. You set up your whole business the way you want to be able to make money. And that's we don't have any control over that. We just control the prices that we do and the fulfillment time that we say and offer you guys. So as long as you know that and you understand the catalogs and products that we offer, you'll be golden. You'll be able to use it and make a lot of money selling products online and not having to produce anything, because that's our goal. That's what we do here in-house. So I hope this live workshop was helpful. And if you have any question, again, you can hit us up through the live chat, through the Facebook group, or simply email the team at support@printeez.com. We're here to help you guys be successful and launch your stores or order directly online to make it as easy as possible. So if you have any questions, we're here. And I hope I see you guys all Friday next week. Ciao.